Hey guys, I'm in the Christmas room, but I'm hand holding a camera. This is the A7C II, which miraculously has gotten a firmware update, something that Sony is not really known for all that much, but the firmware update is one of those that are basically nuclear, meaning it exploded something into this camera that should have been here all along, and it wasn't. So what that is dynamic active image stabilization. Now that is Sony's best image stabilization, but they have limited it to very few cameras. This one now has gotten that inserted into it. My favorite camera, the ZVE1, it's a Sony. I have the white body because they come in white and they come in black. And that has the dynamic active image stabilization. It is 12 megapixels, and this one is 33 megapixels. So this shoots this camera up really high. And Sony only has that dynamic active in this camera, the A7C R, and also their $6,500 jobs. So if you can afford a $6,500 camera, you can get this dynamic active. But now for the first time, they've got it available right here in a standard price camera. This is $1,800 to $2,000, and the ZVE1 is $1,800 to $2,200, depending on, I guess, how B&H feels at the time. They go on sale on and off. So that becomes really important. Now this brings up the stabilization where arguably you could argue between this and let's say the Panasonic Lumix, the 7R, the SR Mark II, and now they have the S1 Mark II, and they have inserted really good stabilization in that camera too. Now which one is better? Well, you know what? It doesn't matter as long as it's doing the job. Now let's walk around the house a little bit. I'm going to leave the Christmas room. I'm going to do a little walk around the kitchen, the patio, standard stuff like that. And you can actually see. And here we go. All right, I'm walking handheld, no stick, nothing like that. In the kitchen. This is my kitchen, which you guys have seen occasionally, not too often. If you're on my Patreon channel, I do a lot of videos from here, just talking whatever's on my heart and what's on my mind. So now this is handheld, and I'm just walking around. Now, you guys, and even me, okay, you're basically looking at the face to see how well the stabilization is. But don't. Look in the corners, this corner and that corner, because that's where the warbling happens, and that's where image stabilization makes the whole thing look bad. Now, I'm going to go out on the patio, which is, hot sunlight right here. We're in Miami. And we're going to see how the dynamic active image stabilization works. All right, we're outside. It's quite bright. I would say we're over 90 degrees now, so it's warm. Now, this camera only comes in black. So when I come out here and I come into the sun, the camera's going to get the sun besides me. So I don't know what this little fella's doing. He's just sitting there. Okay, can you see him? He's sitting kind of in the shade. Not even afraid of me. I hope he's not hurt. Well, he's bouncing around now. I think he wants some water from the pool. You know, it's not a good idea for animals to drink pool water. But anyway, this is walking around. I'm wearing flip-flops. I'm walking on the concrete. I'm going to head out into the yard, which is unlevel grass. And got a little bit of wind. And so what makes this camera unique and why I'm even bringing it to your attention, it's one of the few full-frame cameras that's a very small body, not the only one, but it also has the high-level image stabilization, number one. Number two, it's got 33 megapixels. Now, the 33 megapixels means when you put a crop sensor lens on this camera, like I have right now, this is the 11 millimeter crop sensor lens, and it'll cut it in half, so it'll be 15, well, not quite half. Yeah, but let's say it'll be 15 to 18 megapixels, where if you take most of the other cameras, which are 24, if I can stay on my feet, 24 megapixels, and you cut that in half, you're down to 12 megapixels. So this is what it looks like with me walking around in the yard, handheld. And I keep saying no stick because some people will use a tripod stick or something like that. and that helps to stabilize what is going on. So now I'm under the overhang, and the camera's handling everything. I've got it in P mode. So this new firmware takes this camera and shoots it right up to the top of anybody that's looking for a camera, because if you're doing content creation, you really want that stabilization. It becomes incredibly important. Now this is my walking around. I talked a little extra so you could see and watch me actually, you know, hand hold this camera. And the camera is small and light, which makes it very unique. Now, let's see, we are in P mode, so it's handling everything. I'm going to walk through a dark room. Let's see if the focusing is still, yeah, there's a focus box on my eye, even though my eye is pretty black, right? Starting to pick up on the ISO. And now we're coming into the Christmas room, where I'll be back at the Christmas desk. Okay, I sat myself down here at the Christmas desk. This is where you would see me normally. Now the dynamic active will crop in a little bit more, so you are chewing up some of your landscape left to right on your viewfinder or on your sensor actually, and you need to counter for that. That's why I have an 11 megapixel, no, I'm sorry, an 11 millimeter lens on here, but it's a crop sensor lens, so it's bottoming out at about 17 millimeters. So Sony, I'll get in the right company, does have a 10 to 20 millimeter, which is beginning to look quite appealing. And if I get one of those in here to test, I'll be able to put that up for you. So the interesting thing is a camera that you probably would not have paid attention to in the past because of the new firmware update. And this is May 2025. So the new firmware update has added one of their very, very, very rare features, dynamic active image stabilization, which would be on par and could become argumentative or argumentable between this one and the Lumix, the Panasonic, which has very good image stabilization. So why did I leave Canon and Nikon out? Because they have image stabilization, but it's nothing to write home about. The outside images in this part here and in this part here, they warble, especially when you get into the wider lenses. So this one makes it very stable. It doesn't stabilize the subject. I'm the subject here, okay? But it does stabilize the wings, the outer edges of the image, which makes this winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you for coming in. Do all the good stuff that you normally do with all the other YouTube content creators. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.